Okay, so we have gone through the first one, through pattern matching, number 4. Thank you for the group. Next one here, 5, extension methods. Who got extension methods? Extension methods? Anyone? Extension methods, I'll give you one. At least one group got extension methods. So I'm just wondering which group? Good. So have you shared anything on Slack? Okay, so I'm going to open that. Okay, so I assume that this is the code. Is that correct? And the PowerPoint. It's up here. It's in another channel. It's in another channel. Oh, it's in the zip file? Oh, okay. Is there a code file as well? Is there any code file?
Any code?
Yeah, any code project, because you were doing the project.
We just screenshot.
That's fine, that's fine. That works as well. So we have better match here. Okay. And then, okay, so you can just move forward, backward here, the arrows, and if you want to point to anything, you can just press and point. It does move, it's just here to move, okay?
Okay. Here I'll go and explain what the extension method.
This is just to point. Irvin has to move forward here.
Extension method. Okay. I'll go explain why extension is important and what the main steps of extension method and how to use the example for this. Why is extension method is important? Because extension method enable you to add method to extend time without create a new array type, recoupling or override, modify the original. Okay, we mean extension methods like a tooth. You can create or identify your own tooth and put it, and you don't need to create a new class to use it. So when you use main method, you use this tool what you create, and then it's more convenient to use main method. And now we will explain how to use extension method.
So what are the main aspects of extension methods?
make the class static and public in the case. In this case, add a static method, and since the class is public, make the method public. So pass the first parameters of the static method as the name of the class precedes with the keyword this.
How to use extension methods? An extension method is a static method of a static class where this modifier is applied to the first parameter. The type of the first parameter will be the type that is extended. Extension methods are only in scope when you explicitly import the namespace into your source code with a using directive.
We have a code example here. And here we have a method called word count. The code gets executed. And in our main class we have called the word count. But we are able to use the word count method without creating a new class because we have extension using extension method, which is the namespace of this class. So we are able to extend, simplify it. We are able to use an existing method without creating a new class or modify a new class.
Okay.
That's it.
And there is the result.
That's the result when we execute the program. It's just true because
This count the
count the word in this string. So the result is number 3.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. That's it, see? Easy peasy. Okay, so again, I'll just briefly highlight a few of the points that have been made by the group. So, extension methods are methods that you add to existing classes. Look at this. With this example, which type they have extended here? Which type? Which class? String is the type that comes right after the this keyword. So, I don't have the code for the string class. We didn't have to open the string class in the inners of C#, but with an extension method, we have been able to create a new method for the string type, for the string class. Here are some of the characteristics of the extension methods. First is that the class that they belong to, it has to be static, and it has to be public as well. Those are first two things. The method itself that you are creating, your new methods, it has to be static as well. And I don't know if you can have multiple parameters, I don't think so. But the parameter that you have for your methods is the type that you want to extend, to create a new method from. Okay, so, yeah. So, and again, this method has a parameter which is of the type that you want to extend. And then inside the method, you can use that as your string and do whatever you want here. And then it returns whatever type is the methods. Okay, so again, it's a way that when you don't have access to the source code of the class, you can still extend it by using extension methods. Now, why because to be quite honest, we'll be only using extension methods once or twice during the course, but we're going to be using a class, actually I would say a class, a namespace that has a lot of extension methods called link. Link, for the group that we'll mention, that we'll talk in a bit about link. Again, link is a library in C# that extends a lot of the collections that we're going to be dealing a lot with going forward. Okay? Yes?
Why I have to use this?
It's the terminology used to create extension methods.
Okay.
It's just a very particular way of declaring a method in a parameter that should be understood that this becomes an extension method. It's just a syntax. It's like that. So now, again, through our application now, we use the namespace that we have declared here. And now we can say S, which is a string, we can now use word count. Because now word count becomes just a method from any strings that we are using in our application. But again, we have to import them. We have to import the namespace. Okay? Again, we are creating methods for classes that we don't have control over. Okay? Maybe because we don't have the source code, maybe because they are third-party libraries, classes. So again, very, very useful. Complicated, not so much. I mean, tell me, any questions? If I can make myself go back there.
The parameter is after the this word, and then
Yeah, let me go back there.
after this word, string it's a object.
Yeah, string, well, this could be uppercase or lowercase string, because string is always an object. By the way, string is not a primitive. Strings are objects.
So
Yes. All strings are objects. Regardless if you use with uppercase and lowercase, they are all objects. Characters, no. Character is a primitive. Integer is a primitive. Float is a primitive. Boolean is a primitive. But string is an object. String, actually, you can have null being set to a string because only objects accept null. So string is an object.
it uses a method.
And word count
Yes.
is a method from this static class called myExtensions. This could be called anything you want. But because of the syntax here, this becomes, word count becomes an extension of strings for our application. It's a new method that you create for a string now. Okay? Okay, any more questions? Great, so I'm going to close this. So that's the extension methods, and I think that we have some intersections there. So who got lambda? So we got here, and anybody else? Lambda as well? Okay, so two groups. Let's start with you, guys that are closer to me. And let's see here. Did you share anything on Slack there? Or you can go, okay, that's fine, that's fine. We have a brave volunteer there that wants to get out of it already, huh?
Yeah, we want to just
Get done. Okay, so which one here?
the one up.
Up?
That one with the yes. The PowerPoint, yes.
This one here. Okay, so download. Is there anything else aside from the PowerPoint?
No, we have nothing.
That's already a lot? Okay.
Really a lot?
Okay, so that's the lambda expressions. Let me just... Okay, so again, whoever will be controlling, just arrow back and forth.
Back and forth.
Back and forth, that's it.
Let me do this. Let me
Oh,
do this
okay.
because I have nothing to do.
So we have a keyboard controller, and then the other members. Awesome.
Okay, so hi everyone. We're here to talk about lambda expression and lame Q or line Q, whatever. So basically, we're going to talk
So everyone get familiar with the lambda expression M9Q. So we will talk about why are those important and what are the main aspect and how to use them.
For the why is important, I think the first one is we can save the time, and the second one is less code line, and the last one is make the code more easier to understand. I will expand about we can call this one goes-to operator, and this is the same function for the. And in the first one, we use the goes-to. You can see, but we just have 3 lines to do this function. But I use the other way to expand. This one I have a loop, and I use more than 5 lines.
So lambda expressions are the functions. The first one, epsilon line, takes 0 parameter, return a console line method, writing an empty line, putting an empty line in the console. The second lambda expression is the func input. It takes 2 parameters. They are in and return a boolean. So this one will be returned x equals x y. Take the first parameter x int and y int, and the third one similar to the second one.
Good.
So we got 2 examples. The first one, what it does is basically usually you would have to actually input every single wording and have a variable for it and everything. But this one kind of simplifies it, so you're able to actually put the words ahead of time and then get the formula to narrow it down to give you actually the outcome of what your answer would be. For this scenario, it's asking for A, whichever word starts with A, and what would be the lowest amount of letters. So you're able to actually put the formulas in and kind of get it, like as we were saying, the objective of this is to make it less coding and more easier to read. And the outcome is 5, obviously, because Apple has at least. But yeah.
We see that going through the second example. It's a little bit more simplistic. It's just one function going on. So we have the array of numbers on the top. And then we create a new variable called square numbers. And in that, we go into the actual demonstration of it. So numbers.select, just like a for each loop would. It's going through each individual number in the array. So it's doing. So it's basically saying x is x times itself. So we actually, it doesn't look like we got the output on there.
It's 280.
Yeah, but it's going through and it's going to multiply them all by themselves, and that's what's going to output.
And for more information, please visit doc.microsoft.com and
So for the summary, lambda operator provided simplifies alternative to using functions.
That's everything we got.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, so before I think that before I go with my comments, I'll have the second group present, and then I'll go through a few of my comments here together. So any particular document here that you want me to download? This one here, I guess. EPUN. Any code, or this is the only file? Okay. Want to be on the safe side there. That's okay. Okay. So whoever wants to be the keyboard controller, home and home and end, okay? Back and forth, okay?
Yeah, okay, so just a quick bit. So first of all, we want to talk about the link. Because number is just an expression, it will make the link, because the link, okay, let's go to what is link. So link is like the language integrated query. So which is, if you use database, you know how to select the data, how to select the items based on your condition. So in C#, if you want to select items based on your condition, you use link. So if you familiar with Oracle or SQL, you will know how to use link query. But we can use another method. So we can use another method, a number expression. Number expression, if you are familiar with JavaScript, you will know this like number expression because JavaScript uses, JavaScript called it anonymous because this function has no name and it invokes directly. You don't need to, in JavaScript, you don't need to call this function again. So it's the same here. In C#, it's like, yes, C# is different with, it's a little different with JavaScript. You don't, but the logic is the same. It's like this, there is no name for this method, but you can just use it directly. So this is an example about the, this is the query, this is a link query. So we can say it's familiar to database. They have the select, they have the where, they have from, they have in. And so this I think all of us can understand. And so this is use the number expression. So we can say it's much easier and much simple. To use where, name, and this name is the, how to say it, argument. And this is the result. There's no return because if you only return, if you return something, you don't need to, if you use number expression, you don't need to write return here. Okay, good. So this is another example. I don't think you can. So, okay, let me try to express it. So we have the fact.
I can try to zoom it if you want. I can try to just.
No, I think it's about this one. It's about the monitor.
Yeah, I know it's a bit blurry, but maybe if I can just zoom it a little bit, it will help. Just a little bit. Yeah. Well, you have to navigate a little bit, but
so
it helps a little bit.
Here we have the faculty list. The faculty is a class. So we have the faculty list, which is called the faculties. And here we have two methods. One is to select the faculty who has no course, and the other one is to select the faculty who has courses. So we use different expression. So first, this one we use number expression. We can see the faculties where, and inside the faculty, inside the faculty, every item is faculty. Inside the faculties, every item is called the faculty. So faculty is our argument. So we can check if this faculty's assignment courses the count equal to 0. If it's equal to 0, it return. If it's not equal to 0, it not return. So this is the number expression, and we can use also the query, the normal style. So if from faculty, in faculties, where faculties assign the courses the count bigger than 0, so select the faculty. So this is more easy to understand. But this one is more, it's much, how to say, it's
concise.
Yeah,
like.
It's easier to write. So this is two different methods. But there's no conclusion that the number expression is better than query. Query, I think for developer, it's very easy to understand, so it's very easy to maintain. But for number expression, it's very easy to write. So this is our.
Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you very much. Come on, come on, come on. Okay, so let's see if there's anything there. Okay, for more information, and that's it. Okay, great. So let me do a quick recap. Both presentations were great. Each one focused on a slightly different aspect of the topic, which is good because the combination will make a lot of sense. So let me see. I'm going to go through the first one first, just to highlight a few things. Let's see here. Okay, so Lambda and link, those are two different things. But throughout the course, you're going to see that we're going to use link with Lambda expressions quite a lot, quite a lot. But there are different ways to do link, as the other group shown that. Let's just focus on this example for a second. First is that, yeah, I read some literature that says that you should read this as goes to. Sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't make sense. So sometimes, like when you are selecting one item with where or first, I would rather read it like this. Get C such as C, the length is greater than 8. So again, you may want to read it in different ways. Again, I don't think that I know about goes to, but sometimes it's hard. It doesn't make that much sense to read it as goes to. Sometimes such as, you get C, which is a city, such as the length of the city is greater than 8. So what this is doing here? Well, let's step back. One thing that I would like to mention is that to use link, first you have to declare the namespace up there, the link namespace, okay? So to use things like first, and let me see if anything else was used here. I like this example here as well. You use where, mean, first and the other one. Those are methods. Methods that are applied to collections. What's one example of a collection? A type of a collection? A list, yes. What else? An array. What else? One that who took comp229 with me saw that before. So list, array, give me a third one. A dictionary. Those are types of collections. Now, remember that the second, with the previous topic, we had a look at extension methods. Extension methods are methods that extend a certain class. By default, see, words here is an array, okay? Words here is an array. Array itself, it does not have where, it does not have mean, it does not have first, it doesn't have those methods. Array by itself, it does not have those methods. However, when you declare that you are using the link namespace in this code, all of a sudden, your collections, like an array, they come up with a whole bunch of methods there. A whole bunch of query-related methods. Where do those methods come from? Well, they come from the link namespace that you declare at the top, and they are all extension methods for collections, for lists, for dictionaries, for arrays. So again, we are combining here the previous topic with this topic as well. That's the first thing that I wanted to mention. So link, we're going to be using link in sets of data, in collections, lists, arrays, dictionaries. When we are bringing data from the database, we're going to be filtering that data using link as well. Link is not only for collections in memory, but collections that we query database for, okay? And again, lambda is this kind of expression. I'll jump here to the other presentation quickly, just to highlight a few points. Let me see if I can find. Okay. Now, you can use link if you are used to if you are comfortable with database. You can use link like this. This is one way of using link. It's a very SQL friendly. SQL the code is very familiar to whoever did some database querying before. But, so that's one style. That's one approach. It might be more readable, but to be honest, we're going to be using the lambda approach. This is not using lambda. Remember, lambda is the equal to greater than sign. That's lambda. this approach here, this is link, but it's not using lambda. Lambda is being used by the second example here, which this is the equivalent of this. This is the same thing, but using lambda instead of this query style, instead of link query. Okay. Here we are using methods to perform the filtering. We have where, we have, and here we have it in a different style. We have in a what's called link query style. Okay. Again, we're gonna use link so much. This kind of method. Where is when we filter a data set. Let me see if I can find an example here that you have shown. Zoom in. Again, don't worry if this looks a bit foreign to, a bit strange. You're gonna get comfortable with that. But for instance, where you are applying a filter to a group of data. In this case here, we have faculties. We are returning faculties where faculty is assigned where faculty does not have any courses assigned. Okay? So again, we're going to be doing filtering here. Okay? Let me see the other one here. Or like this one here. This one is getting see, first is yet another method. It's getting the first element of the data set that matches this condition. Let's look at the condition. So, by the way, this can be any name. As long as whatever you put here before the lambda sign matches the same name that you put afterwards. This could be X, but this has to be X as well. It's almost like you are declaring a variable there and you are using it right away. This is lambda. There's so much about lambda that we could go for a straight 2 hours just talking about lambda here. As has been described by the second group, lambda is a way to make short the use of anonymous methods. Okay? But again, I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to overcomplicate too much. Again, you're going to be using it for filtering. You're going to be using it for selecting subsets of data. Okay? Don't worry if lambda is not that clear, because I have to say that from the 8 topics that we would be talking about today, lambda and link is really the one that is more complicated, but at the same time is the one that is the most important one moving forward, because you're going to be using this a lot to filter data, to select data. Okay? So we're going to be revisiting those concepts quite frequently throughout. Any questions at this point? Nobody is using much Padlet today. Any questions? As I said, if it feels too much, lambda and link, I get it. I know. I felt the same when I saw it first time. But let's keep moving forward. And as we practice, as we see examples, as we see this more and more in action, it will become clear as we go along. And again, feel free to ask me questions. Okay? Let's keep moving. Let's go to the last one. var type inference. Who got that one? 2 groups. Okay, great. So we have the first volunteers already standing up. So let's use that. This is the one. Yep. Is that just the one zip?
Yeah.
Just 1.5 has also codes. Okay, so type inference. Okay. Okay, so will be opening. Let's close this. I'll keep the example open, and I'll also open the PowerPoint. Okay, perfect. You can move back and forth, and you can use this if you want to point to anything. You just press the button and point there. Don't point at people's eyes, because it will blind them.
So you can understand So we are gonna talk about its importance and main aspect, and we will show you quick example of this.
So basically, we're gonna talk about type inference, which is bar. What is bar is implicitly typed variable keyword. So you don't need to specify like int or float or double every time you're instantiating. And what is important is if you think about ring, lambda, or query language, sometimes it is difficult to find any keyword. If you think about finding like customer name or customer information, you don't need to look up every time you're finding keywords. So just using var keyword, it serves everything. You don't need to specify any of them. But it sounds like you could like use var variable for everything, but though it sounds like magic word or keyword, but it doesn't. So what is the merit of using var is because basically using var is letting the compiler to does the extra work, and that means you burden on the compiler, and they might lead to loss of in terms of memory or resources.
So this shows a very simple example of the implicitly typed using by bar, and the just explicitly typed by int. Using bar, you don't have to like tell the compiler that it's int. It will just like automatically think it's int. But the explicit type, all you have to do is like instead of bar, you have to specify the I is int. Yeah, so using bar, you don't have to type the int.
This is our code example. There's 4 variables, and as you can see, there's no data types, but we used bars instead of that, and you put values for them. And if you want to check the types, you can use getType method, and it shows their data types.
You have to use the function key as well. You want to run?
Yes.
Okay, so Control F. See, yep.
Yeah, so it's the output of this example. So it shows 4 data types for the bars. Yeah, that's it.
That's it. Okay. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. Good. So again, I'll leave my comments after the last group. I'll just keep this one open. So Lambda, I'm going to close here. And so for the last group, you can talk on, is there a PowerPoint that you want to share? Oh, different channel. Which one? This one?
Yeah, that one.
I watch Stranger Things. That's okay. It's always good to reiterate. It's always good to reiterate. The repetition is good for consolidation. Yep. Back and forth, home and ends. Okay.
Sure. So we just added up what the previous group is. The importance of.
So this is the var. Var is like we don't even need to declare the data type. It actually, but so in C#, I think 3.0 they introduced this one. Before that, we have to explicitly type like int 32 or whatever, the double and everything. Now we can use var, but the thing is we cannot. We have to assign right away when we declare the variable. So the thing is to remove the redundancy, and from code flexibility, like we don't need to think, okay, whether we need to give the double or int, we just create it. But so this var is used for local variable and for each loops, and also in the link queue and statements. But we cannot use more thing. So some restrictions are there, like we cannot use var in a single like this. It will give a compile error. Every time we have to give var I or something. And also we cannot use it in a method as a parameter, because we cannot assign in the parameter something. And the code is, I guess, the same.
And when to create a var, just you need to initialize it.
And then the code is, I think, the same thing. That's all.
That's awesome. You see, you added some stuff. The other group didn't mention about the parameter and the fact that you cannot put in the same line. So again, you added some stuff. Thank you very much. Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so I'm not going to mention too much about var because it is quite straightforward. I'll just use some of the things that have been mentioned here. So my recommendation is use var only if you really don't know what data type should be used at that point in the code. If you know that it is already, that this will be an integer, make it integer already. The first group mentioned a little bit that there is a little bit of overhead when you use var sharp because the compiler needs to figure things out here. So again, if you know already that you need an integer, declare an integer. Not only it's more efficient from a code perspective, but also you as a coder programmer, if you give your code to somebody else, it's much more readable to you and to anybody else if they see right away that this is an integer. They don't need to, 100. They don't need to go through the extra mental step and to figure out which data type is that variable for. So I would recommend to use explicitly, but there are places and times to use var, if you don't know the data type that you're going to be using. Yep.
After the program has figured out the type, in that case, and I can use the methods of the class.
You can.
Type that
You can. Actually, here's the thing. I might be mistaken, but when you declare like a var j like that, after that you can put j dots, and then the methods will come already based on an integer, this being an integer. So again, even the IntelliSense will start working for you right there. What else? Okay, let me see the other one. So again, I like that the other group mentioned about the limitations. You cannot declare a var as part of a parameter list. The parameters in a method, they need to be explicit. So that's a good point. And yeah, so good to see some of the limitations. Let's see here. Yeah, I think it's a simpler concept when we're talking about vars. Let's see. Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing next. So thank you very much for the presentation. I hope that it helped. If nothing else, it helped each group to get to know a little bit more about the topic. Now, I want to reconnect with the first 3 topics that we are supposed to cover, which you did the research. Let me close this. Okay. So I would like to see, just download your questions for the 3 first points, just for me to recap the first points here. Those are the 3 first points. Not going to ask to discuss nor anything. Just download your questions, have a look at them on your own. If any one of the questions is still valid at this point, if you still have those questions, if you still want to clarify, post them on our Padlet or just mention it verbally. But actually, let's post them here because then I can queue them up and I can answer all at once. So let's take 2 minutes, open your questions, and then again, review them and post here on Padlet if you want to get clarification about any one of your questions. Again, this is the address there for Padlet, in case you don't have that easily. Okay, so it seems that the questions have been all sorted out. That's what I'm going to assume here. I don't see anybody posting. That's fine. So you're going to have to prove me because we're going to do it's informal, no grades related, but we're going to do a quick quiz after we come back from a 5 minutes break about the topics that have been covered so far. And I want to see 100%, 100%, 100%, because there are no questions here. Anyway, let's have 5 minutes and we come back. Oh, questions are starting to pop up. Good. So. Yep.
I download project and Visio from the page that you told us. Azure, the page Azure.
Yeah, oh, Visual Studio?
Yeah. No, Visio.
Visio, Microsoft Visio?
Yeah, to do the diagrams. But they are asking me for a license.
The diagrams for the bonds, usually? Is that the one that for the bonds?
I'm talking about I cannot use Visio project because they are asking me for license.
Yeah, but
Microsoft license.
You don't need Visio for this class.
No, I need.
Oh, you need for
yeah.
Okay, got it. So you have to talk to tech support. That's usually I don't know. I can have a look and see how you can get a hold of them, but they should be the ones that you talk to.
The tech support.
Yeah, there's a technical support from the college.
Okay.
They usually are the ones that ask this, that can address those types of problems. Okay. Have you tried from the Microsoft because I think that the same place that you download Visual Studio, you might be able to download. See from here. I think under general. See, look, I've uploaded this download Visual Studio instructions. Yeah. Maybe follow the same instructions, but instead of Visual Studio, search for Visual. I think you should be able to find Visual there with the same step by step. Okay. Give it a try, but otherwise, remind me. Send me an email to remind me, and then I'll look for the tech support how you reach them. Okay. No. Actually, worst case, you can just get that information from the reception in upstairs. They can give you that information. Okay, so we have some questions. It's great. Let's have a look at them. So I'm going to go from the oldest to the latest. Okay, so what is the limitation of interpolated string? The limitation. I guess that's before I talk about any limitations, which none are coming to mind, but let me open a project that I have which will demonstrate what string interpolation is. Okay. So I don't know of a limitation. You might be looking for something specific here, but I can tell you what it is. So I can say something like this. You know, the application that I showed you before. We have a null there. We run the application. We show the names of the products. Let's say that I'll just run here to remind you. Okay, so we have a list of products here. An example of a string interpolation could be this. Let's say that I want to say product name before each product. So one of the ways, actually, let's make this simpler. I don't want to overcomplicate here. Let's remove this null. Let's remove this here. Let's just say something like this. We want to show product name and then concatenate. So we can concatenate strings like that just with a plus sign. This will work. It will show product name before each product. Let's just see this running. Okay, so we have product name here. However, if I want to use string interpolation, I could do what? Who can tell me what I could do here to make this use string interpolation instead of the way it is right now? $, where? Okay, so I could do this thing here. What else I should change? The brackets. Then I should remove this. I can close brackets at the end. And then what else should I do to finalize? So double quote. So again, this is an example of string interpolation. Now,
remove one of the parentheses.
We need two because. Okay, no problem. So again, I don't know what would be a limitation of interpolated string. Again, if you want to reformulate your question there, so I know exactly what you are looking for. I'm going to keep moving forward, and again, if you have a follow-up, you can do that. So could you go over the example of formatted address and dictionary example? I think that this is an example in one of the links that I provided, but I think it's a very extensive example. If you want to share the link there, because to be quite honest, I don't remember which link is that one. If you want to share the link, I can have a look. Or if you can say which topic is that one, because by the time that I can find manually here, I mean, it will just take too long here. So again, if you want to share a link, I can have a look. Can you use object initializers on nested anonymous types? Whoa, that's a mouthful. Okay, so can you use object initializers on? Yes, you can. That's a short answer. Now we can see an example here. So let's see. So first of all, what is an anonymous type? Well, an anonymous type could be something like this. Let me see here. I think you could have this. Just going to comment this out. I'm going to say, I could say, let me see if this is actually, anonymous type, let me see. Where is that one? Okay. Can you use object initializers on nested anonymous type? Okay. The nested part is throwing me off a little bit. If you could just provide an example of what you mean by nested anonymous type, it would help me to clarify a little bit of what you want to see here. I can tell you this, you can use object initializers with anonymous types, but again, nested is throwing me off a little bit here. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by nested there. Okay, so how can we initialize an object by setting indexers? Can you explain the following example? Okay, so let me ask a question. Well, this is blurry, so it's a bit hard for you to visualize. Let me see if I can try to zoom, if this will work better. Okay, so there in the corner, if I declare this, what is this? What am I creating here by using this terminology, square brackets and then column in the middle? What am I doing here?
Double array.
What do you mean by double array?
2 layers.
Two dimensions. Yes. Correct, yes. So you are creating here a matrix, correct? Now, the question is, yeah, so to explain this is, if we don't use a comma, we are just creating one single dimension array. It has position 0, 1, 2, 3. However, when we put a comma, now all of a sudden we have a y-axis and a axis and an x-axis. So now we have position 0, 0, position 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So again, if I say 3 by 3, how many items do we have in this matrix? 9. We have 9 items. So we have 3 horizontally, 3 vertically. However, this is not limited to 2 dimensions. I can create as many dimensions as I want. I just keep adding a comma. It becomes a little complex, but you can create a multi-dimension array by doing that. Okay? So that's a multi-dimension array. I don't know. Let me see if I can expand this a little bit so I can see it better. Just going to open in a text editor here and see if I can. Yeah, so again, this is just creating a private field called storage. It's a multi-dimension array, and the let's see here, double this. Yeah. I'm not sure. Where does this example come from? Do you have a link there?
Yeah, from Michael Wade.
Yeah, I would like to see a better context because let me see here. So class matrix, double this. I don't recall the syntax, to be honest. This is this class. We usually
Available types, very, very likely. I can check it here, but
yeah, to be quite honest, I don't recall what this is. It's returning, I mean, a position here within. It's looking like, and again, I'm just inferring here. I'm not sure, but what it looks like is that I'm creating a matrix. Sorry, I'm creating a double dimension type of class here. I'm applying this to matrix, so it looks like if I define M as a matrix, I can say M brackets position 0, 0, and it will return this. It looks like that. That this is defining the class matrix. All of a sudden, they will be able to accept a square bracket, and I will be able to say, give me the position M, give me M, which is the type of matrix, give me position 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 3, and it would return the corresponding double within this matrix here.
I put the link on the left.
What is that?
I put the link.
You put the link there?
collections initializers.
Okay.
The formatted addresses and dictionary example is also there.
Got it. I see. Okay, so it's using the class matrix. It's creating class matrix here, and down here it must be using it somewhere. Yeah, it's.
Yeah, you use it just to define it, the var identity.
Yes, the embedded array will throw out of the range exception as appropriate. Consider the class. Let me see here. Let me see if I can get more context here. Object initializers. Yeah, see, the example here, I don't think the example is about this, explain this. It's kind of assuming that you know what this terminology is, because this topic here is really about initialization. So again, I can do some research and bring that information back after. So let me just take a quick snapshot of this and you store that so I can have a look. And I'm going to just save the URL as well. So I have a closer look, but I'm quite sure, Sergio, that this is making the class being able to accept square brackets and behave like an array or like a matrix, like a multi-dimension. I think that this is what this is doing, but I would have to test. I'm just speculating here. Okay, let's go back there. Okay, how do we use multiple conditional operator if inside interpolated string? How do you use if inside interpolated string? Okay, let's see. Okay, let's have an example here. Let's see if we can use that. let's have a string, s equals to, and let's declare here a init, yi equals to 1. And let's say that number and let's use interpolation here. Let's put like this, and then let's try to use an if, a multi-conditional operator if. If we have if. And then let's say that what is that?
You cannot make it I like a string, right?
You cannot make I as a string? You mean to convert here?
No. I mean, why you use the double? Why you use?
Because I'm testing. I'm doing an if, an inline if here. So I'm just. I'm not sure if that's the goal of the question, but let me see. So. Now, let's see how we can format this properly here. Because let's try to make this as an expression like this. So this is how you could use inside interpolation. You could do whatever condition you have here. If this is true, then output this part. Otherwise, output this. Again, that's what I understood from the question here. To use a multiple conditional operator if. I mean, you can have as many conditions as you want here. I don't know if you are trying to use the actual if statement inside of this, but again, this is how you could use an if statement, the operator, and you can have as many conditions as you want here. You can just say one condition and something else and something else. So again, you can put as many multiple conditions as you want to. Again, if you want to ask a follow-up, by all means, please do that. Is the select clause like in SQL? Is the select clause like in SQL? To be quite honest, I use very little this type of syntax of link. I would rather use and focus on the method, on the link methods. That's what I'm more familiarized with. I'm familiarized with database query, but not so much of using this style of link in the code. I would rather use .select, .where. I think, to me, it's more clear than using this, but let's see here. Select new product. So is the select clause like in SQL? I would say that, again, we can give this a try. Let's even try to compile this. I think that the select clause should be slightly different here. Let's try here. You could just say Okay. Let's see if we have name, and then we have price as well. So let's just adjust this a little bit. So in a way, what you are creating here is you are creating a new type. You are not, I mean, you're creating a new, what I would say, anonymous type that has two properties, the name and the price. And you are creating a new anonymous type here. So again, it's based on the product, but you're creating a brand new one. So let me see, what's the question here? Is a select clause like in SQL? Well, it's similar to SQL, but you're going to see some differences. For instance, this in SQL Server, this select statement is the first one that comes in the line. You know, it's the first part of the query. Then you have from. So this is a bit, it has a different order as compared to a plain SQL statement, a SQL Server statement. Again, in a SQL statement, you have select as the first line, and then you have from. In a link scenario, you have it a little bit, you have the inverse here. So again, I'm not sure, is the select clause like in SQL? It's similar, it's quite similar, but it's not exactly the same. I mean, as you can see here. What is the difference between a class object and a var object? A class object. Well, if you say a class object, my question is, which object is that one? Is that the object? I mean, because var is just a type that is not defined at the beginning, that it needs to wait for a value to be assigned to it, so we can know which type is that one. Object is just the most generic type that exists. Now, maybe you are confusing the fact that object can be of any class and can be assigned at any class. So again, don't think about using objects instead of vars. Var, it's still more efficient than just using objects, because then with objects, to make good use of them, you're gonna have to cast them. You're gonna have to be converting to specific types. So again, var is just like using a regular type, but you are deferring, you are delaying the resolution of which type is that one for later. Again, if you want to follow up on that one, by all means, do it. Could you go over example? Okay, so we discussed this a little bit. Can you explain better implicit conversion in iFormat provider? I have not used iFormat provider before. The iFormat provider, if I'm not mistaken, is the one that allows string formatting, but again, I have not used this too much. Can you explain better implicit conversion? Again, if I see the example, show me, and it might be related to this one here, because here we have again formatted address. Share URL with me, and I can have a look, and I can see. But again, I'm not familiarized with this data type, format address or iFormatter. I'm not familiarized with that. Okay, so I think those were the ones. What I would like to do next, I just want to go through bonus 4 for next class. Sorry, bonus 5 for next class. Not for today. I just want to explain what it is that I'll be expecting for next class. If you go to week number 3, next class we're going to be talking about Razor. Razor is that scripting language that we saw inside our views. When you go to a view, like index, and then we see the add for each, add something here. This is Razor. This is Razor syntax. And that's what we're going to be going through next class. The entire class next week will be just about Razor. So my ask is, have a look at this link. And as you look at this link, ignore whenever it talks about VB. It gives examples in C#, it gives example in VB. Forget about the ones in VB. We don't care about the ones in VB. So only look at the ones in C#. You can have a look at this as a reference point. And you can have a look at this PDF that I have shared with you, which is this one here, working with Razor. So look at this one. Look at this link. And as usual, come up with 3 questions, upload them before next class, and we can get next class started with those questions and get deep into how to use Razor and how to get ourselves familiarized with that strange, in a way, strange scripting language that we have with Razor. Okay, so again, that's bonus number 5, 3 questions about Razor, and that's what we're going to be covering in our next class. Okay? See if I missed anything here. Let me see here. Okay, so I will not be going anymore through, not today at least. One of the topics that we have not covered was this one here, asynchronous methods. I'm going to put this aside. I will cover that a little bit down the road once we get to start using it, okay? But here's what I'd like to do in the next 4 minutes. I put together 2 sets of quizzes. Quiz 1 has 4 questions, quiz 2 another 4 questions. About what? About the topics that we discussed today. About not all 8 of them, but the 7 that we have gone through. Let's give it a try. I just want to have a sense what have we retained from all the conversation today. So again, there's 2 sets of quizzes, each one 4 questions. Let's have a look at them using earpods, and then we can depart after that. We can go home after that. So, okay, essentials, that's the one. So let's go to nearpod.com. Quickly here, and this is the code. It's, again, 2 sets of 4 questions, and I'm just going to hide the names. I'm going to keep it open here. So again, nearpod.com, and this is the code. Let's have a quick look there. So again, here's the codes. I think that we have to stretch until midnight to get that 60% a little bit lower today. Okay, let's see. Let's see what's going on here. Okay. Okay, so I confess that I put a few that are a little bit tricky, and lots of them, that's the other thing, lots of them, they have more than one choice, so that's what impacts as well in the results. But let's go one step at a time here. Okay, select the options with correct and compilable use of null conditional operators. So let's look at one by one. I'm asking not what will trigger an exception or not. I'm asking what is its correct syntax, what it will compile or not. So, first one here, will this compile? Yes, that will compile. Okay, so select the ones that, yeah, so first one will compile. Second one will compile or not? No. It won't because of what? What is the problem?
You don't have the dot.
Yeah, we don't have the dot, and even if we had the dot here, it's not in the appropriate place. This is not the place. It's the question mark dot is supposed to come with something else after that. So this will not compile. Return a thing, inner thing. Okay. Or about this one? Yeah. This is fine. Okay. What about the last one? Return thing, inner thing. No. What's the problem with that one? What is that? Where? Here?
Between
here? Yep. So we should have two question marks here. Okay? So if we have two question marks here, it means that we are using a coalescent operator. If it's null, this will, sorry. If it's not null, this will return. If it's null, this will return. But again, it has to be two question marks, not just one. Okay? Any questions about this? Okay? Okay, so if car is null, which options would cause a null reference exception? So, A, what can you tell me? Will this cause an exception? Yes or no? No. It would not, because if car is null, this becomes null, and then B would get a null, not an exception. However, if we take this away, if we just put car.tires, if car is null, it would trigger an exception. But again, with the question mark here, with the null operator, this will return null, and that's it. It's all good. So it would not cause an exception. So you don't check that one. Second one, will it cause an exception if car is null? Yes. It will. Okay? So we have that one. Third one, string B equals to, okay, so will this cause an exception, yes or no? No. What will be on B if car is null?
String B is null.
Will it be null or will it be no brand?
No. No, because car is null.
Yeah, but look, we are using the null operator, we are using the coalescent operator. So if this is null, this gets returned.
If the whole thing is null?
If this whole thing is null, this gets returned. If this is not null, this gets returned. Again, when we are using the coalescent operator, if this is null, this returns. If this is not null, this returns. The right side, sorry, the left side will return if it's not null. The right side will return if this is null. This works like an if. So again, but my point is that this will not cause an exception. The last one, will the last one cause an exception? It will cause because car is null and we are not checking. We are not using the conditioner here. So this will cause one as well. Again, I have to admit the questions, because they are multiple selections, that's what caused most of the problems there, I think. Is this clear? And if it's not clear, again, let's clear things up now, either verbally or you can just post that on Padlet, okay? So again, feel free. We have to, those are, even if you make the wrong choices there, but after I explain, it should become clear. And if it's not clear yet, let me know. Let me know. Okay. So we have two variables. We have full and bar. Full is 30, bar is 20. What would be the value of result string after the following code runs? And again, you have interpolation here. Which one would be the correct one? B. B it is. We have full. We are using string interpolation. This gets replaced by 30. This gets replaced by 20. And then we have the full is 30 and the bar is 20. Okay? Next one, and again, I would not expect that you knew that, to be quite honest. But what is the difference between this one and the previous question? Double brackets here, double braces here. So when you have double braces, it means that braces should be taken as one. So if you double that, it no longer becomes replaceable as a variable. It becomes just a literal string. So in the end, it becomes A. Okay? So again, you double braces there just to ignore that. No, don't take this as a string interpolation. Okay. For those first 4 questions, any remaining questions? Again, it's come forward. And to finalize, let's just have 3 more minutes there for the final one, and we are done. Okay, I'm just going to move forwards. Again, take a few minutes there, just 3 minutes.
There's more than one option?
If there is more than one option, I think I make it clear. I don't remember the items right now on top of my head, but they may or may not. Not sure. Okay, so I'm going to hide the results this time. Do you guys still have the little sheet that I give to each team? Yep. Okay. So, thank you. Okay. So, thank you. Thanks. Is there anyone left? Get in. One. Thank you. Do you guys have yours there? Yep. Thank you. Okay, so what is the prediction? Above fifth or below fifth? Huh? Above fifth or below? Wow, 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 wow. You know, I think that we have to take this to repeat this class again. No? Okay. Okay, so let's see the first one here. The first one is about string, is about type initialization. Okay, so and it's multiple answers. That's the reason. You have declared a list of students. Assuming that student class has three properties: name, address, and email, and a default constructor. What would be the correct ways to initialize an item in the list student collection? And this is tricky because we didn't explicitly cover that, but let's just look through it. Is new student correct? Is this correct?
No. Yeah. Yes.
And by the way, I just want to give a little bit of context here. Let me open the source codes. I'm talking about this type of initialization, okay? That's the reason why at the end of the line you see a comma, not a semicolon, okay? So I'm talking about this type of initialization here. So the first one is correct or not?
No. Yes.
Can I create just a new product here? You see, new product. I could. So this is correct. The second one, it's not, because I mean I'm using the new keyword, but there is no initialization, there is no parentheses afterwards, so it does not work. C, yes. Does it work?
No. No.
Why not? Why not? Missing what? Parentheses? But those are missing as well. Okay, so you can do initialization without calling the constructor, just by calling like this, if it has a default constructor, okay? So yeah, it's okay, it works. But now you know. How about D? Sorry. Oh, no, that's fine. It works. That's okay. See? You don't need the parentheses there. How about D? It works as well. So again, you can use with or without parentheses. Now you know. Which expression is used to determine if an object is an instance of a certain type, of a certain class? Which one? C. Which expressions correctly test whether or not the animal type is dog? Which one? A tests, and it creates a local variable here called B. What about B? B is also testing. It's just not creating the variable. Remember that this is optional. You can use just like this or like this. And here we are doing the opposite, which does not make sense. Okay? Okay, so when it comes to extension methods, which statements are correct?
B.
Okay, the this modifier is used to indicate the type that is getting extended. So the intention was, we use this to indicate this string str. So we use this to indicate which type it is modifying. So first one is correct. The class holds the class that holds the extension method implements, sorry, I'm not reading this properly. The class that holds the extension methods implementation has to be static. The class has to be static. Extension methods cannot return a value. Let's think about the one that we have seen as example. We have a word count. Word count returns a value. It returns the word count value. So C is not correct. And D, the extension method has to be static. It's correct as well. Again, so I think that's the reason why you got so many wrongs is because every one of them had multiple choices. So just that. I mean, it's not on you, it's really on me and how I elaborate the questions, okay? So that's it. Again, bonus number 5, don't forget for next class. Have a good week, and I'll see you in a week. Thank you very much.
I must have used JavaScript in the assignment.
You must have what?
JavaScript.
JavaScript in the assignment. For which assignment? The assignment 1?
No. Because when I put the ingredients, I don't know how many ingredients. Could be one line.
It's hard-coded. Just hard-code them. It's not dynamic. Não é dinâmico os itens. É tudo HTML. Você só coloca em HTML. Você vai só colocar fixo o HTML. Não tem nada dinâmico, não.
Não, mas se eu colocar input, fica uma linha. Tem que pôr outro tipo de...
Input?
Input só põe uma
linha. Para o form, né?
Para o form.
Mas o form não vai coletar nada não ainda. But don't use dynamic. There's no dynamic stuff in the first assignment.
Mas então eu vou criar só um input, então.
Não vai criar nem nada. É só... O primeiro assignment é só para checar se você sabe navegar de um lugar para outro.
Mas ela está pedindo para criar o add recipe?
Criar o view. Mas não está falando nada de salvar. De store. Não. Cria o form, cria o button. Mas não precisa salvar essas informações, não. Não precisa salvar o que você colocar no form. Não precisa criar um banco de dados, não precisa criar na memória.
Não estou falando banco de dados, eu estou falando o input do usuário. Não precisa nada.
Não precisa disso ainda. Vai vir aí na frente. Vai vir. Mas no primeiro é só testando a navegabilidade. Eu quero saber se você sabe de uma view para outra view, para outra view, para outra view. Eu quero saber se você sabe navegar. Não store information. Ainda não é hora para store information, não.
Não vai criar lista nenhuma?
Ainda não. We're gonna do that, but not yet. Ok? It's simple, é muito fácil o primeiro.
Mas eu vou criar o botão então sem função nenhuma. Vai estar lá o botão.
Quando clicar lá, vai voltar para onde? Se era para salvar, para guardar um recipe. Depois que você salvar, ia para onde? Era para ir para onde? Para ir de volta para o view da lista.
Da home.
Well, pode ir para home ou pode ir para a lista, né?
Pra lista.
A home que é o add, né? Pronto, pode voltar para home. Só navegação. What's up? Sure.
About this assignment?
Sure. You can put it here.
So if I click here, it
Mm-hmm.
will leave you the recipe. Do I have to use those radios or just
Okay.
to use?
Can you go back? Can you just hit back? Okay. So if you this is a home page, correct?
Yes.
If you click review recipe, which recipe are you reviewing? Which one? Did you select the recipe?
No.
No. Okay. So think about where you're gonna put that review.
Oh yes.
It needs to be reviewing a recipe, one specific recipe. So where do you see specific recipes? Well, you see in the list of recipes.
Yes.
You could put a link at the end of each line of the recipes
Yes.
to review the recipe.
Oh.
But again, so it has to be, you have to see, does it make sense? I mean, who am I reviewing here?
Yeah.
Or let me see here, add new, that's fine, recipe list. Yeah, so again, even the view recipe, you're gonna view the recipe once you see the list of recipes, and then you click in a recipe, and then you view the recipe. Okay? So again, think about the flow of how things, the first assignment is about the flow, how you move from one view to the next view, how you come back to where you were before. Now, again, spice it up a little bit, your homepage there. Put some image there, put some color there.
Yes. Yes.
Okay? Make sure that you cover
I
that.
did yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and if I click this recipe list,
I should see a list of recipes there.
yes.
Hard-coded. You can just make them plain and simple HTML, nothing coming from memory,
Oh,
just
okay.
hard-coded.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, okay. And then I can add new recipes from here, right?
Yeah, but
Like
again,
that.
you don't need to save them.
Oh, really?
That's what
Oh.
I tried to explain, but I think that I was not very lucky trying to explain that. Again, the first one has no data. There's no data in memory, nothing. It's about navigation.
Oh, okay.
Static data, static information. Again, I'm gonna highlight, bold, and make it blink. And okay.
Yes, thank you.
Now again, it will become more complex as we go along. But the first one is easy. It's supposed to be simple. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Thank you. Have a
Good
good
one.
night.
You too.